How do you see Luxoft playing in this? Do you see yourself as you could create the new platform, or you could bring companies together, or you play the third party, or play the consultant in this? How do you see your role in this ecosystem?
Luxoft actually is uniquely positioned. So we're a pure software company, and that makes communication with manufacturers easier for us. And with tier ones as well, because we are not competitors. We are not going to provide another head unit and try to sell it at a certain price to manufacturer. So in many ways, it's easier for manufacturers and for tier ones to use Luxoft as a kind of glue between them, because they both understand that we can be trusted. We are not competing with both of them. And in many ways, they not trust each other because they start competing, and they're afraid, like OEMs are afraid of tier ones repeating their solutions for others. So Luxoft model, the standard IT model where we keep code with the clients, or we contribute to open source projects and we reuse them in our products, removes this competition view and removes barriers. So we see now that for us it's much easier to come into projects as a kind of intermediary or supporter of the platform, kind of like the trusted party.
Okay.
Right. So I see a lot of good in that for the market, because I think that's a way again to move forward. And I see a lot of opportunities in that respect for Luxoft, because I think that this allows us to stay kind of really at the edge of the developments of such platforms, standards, consortia, and so on. That's why we're quite active in this field.
Well, what we are hearing from the market is that there are, and it's not just automotive. Companies are not simply searching for providers or suppliers like Luxoft. They also want to do a lot on their own. And there is never a black and white, right? There will be multiple shades of code development. Do you find yourself in such situations that companies say, this is the part we want to do on our own, this is the part we want you to do, and then it's flexible. We run the program or you run the program. Do you find yourself in such situations?
I think more and more we find ourselves there. If we talked about that 2 years ago, I would say that mostly we develop things which belong to our client completely, and which are developed according to the client specification and desires. Right now, more and more clients understand that they don't want to invest themselves into some platform which either would be obsolete in 2 years, or it will be too hard for them to reuse. So they really want to benefit from some shared things which they believe would be more of a commodity, more of a shared thing. For example, they would really love to share some kind of basic IVI stack, so kind of BSP, operating level system, and some of the middleware, at the same time providing unique experience on top of that. So while kind of stack, I think, is more going to be commoditized and put into open source shared platforms. At the same time, unique digital experience, HMI, UX, is still going to be quite private and not shared with others.
Sure, yes.
And again, sorry. So I think Luxoft positioning allows us to be extremely flexible. Product companies do not feel comfortable in this situation. They just want to sell products. They want to sell their platforms. They don't want their platform to go open source or free. Tier ones want to sell hardware which will run this software. So for them, it's a bit different task. And OEMs pretty much want to spend as kind of low as possible to get the perfect result, to get the great user experience. And so I think our positioning allows us to serve all of them and to bring them together.
As a component integrator.
Yes. And we can do platforms, we can do specific software which runs on a specific hardware, and we can develop stunning user interfaces. So I think that allows us to really go forward with the market.
If you come in as the component integrator, do you also endanger the internal competence of the OEM? Because that would actually be their role. How do you see this? How do you manage this conflict?
Well, I don't see this conflict so far as much because we still see existing model working with OEMs and Tier 1s, and Tier 1s doing one level of integration and OEMs doing pretty much the final level of integration. So integration in terms of this level, integration in terms of the built vehicle is not something Luxoft is trying to enter. It's really competence, it's really expertise of the OEM, and I don't think it's likely to go away from them. That's their core functionality, and basically providing this single experience where everything runs smoothly, including software and hardware, is, I think, one of the key selling points for OEMs. If you drive any luxury car, you have kind of single experience. If you go into economy class, this works better, this works worse, so it's kind of a fragmented experience. So I think we're not endangering this. As for OEMs, that depends on the way OEMs develop in the future. Because I think it is clear that OEMs should find the model in which they would continue developing. Existing models with a lot of proprietary software running on proprietary hardware, I think it becomes just too expensive and too slow in evolution. So they need to understand what they want to focus on. Do they want to focus on really great hardware, or they want to focus on proprietary software which beats everything in its class outside, which is quite difficult. But look at Apple. That's their strategy. They don't want to use any shared software. They want to beat everyone with their proprietary things. So it's also possible. So I think every Tier 1 should decide for itself.
I like the way over the last few minutes you took the word integration and you sliced it into multiple layers. And I guess what I'm saying is not just valid for automotive. It's equally true for healthcare and finance.